Thanks for staying with us. The back and forth over the sale of Mango Airlines looks far from over. In the latest chapter, Mango's business rescue practitioner says he's going ahead with the sale of the low-cost airline to a potential investor amid a dispute with Minister of Public Enterprises Pravin. Now, last year, the court ruled that a decision on whether or not the sale can go ahead needed to be made within 30 days. And as the back and forth continues, there's a lot of uncertainty over what happens now, especially when it comes to the future of this airline. Let's explore this and the future of the industry, in fact, when it comes to low-cost airlines, with Aviation Analyst Desmond Latham. Thank you so much for your time, Desmond. Let's just start with, there's been a lot of back and forth in this Mango chapter, with now the latest news saying the business rescue practitioner wants to go ahead with the sale of the airline because he believes that there's still quite a lot that can still be done with it. Your reaction to this latest development?
Well, I think the legal process has kind of worked its way out now, and the minister had until midway through January to reply to an appeal process, which he missed that deadline, and now is indicating he may go up to the Supreme Court of Appeal. He may go further. I don't think he's got much room to move right now. If you look at the laws around the business rescue practice, the minister has run out of time. So what happens now is that Mango, according to Sona, the business practitioner, he's had a good look at what's going on. He's spoken to creditors. All the creditors apparently are on board, the major creditors here, who are owed 2.8 billion rand, by the way. They've indicated that they will support a resumption of some kind of business practice going forward. So I think we've got to look at this and take a step back and say the minister is not really, he's got to operate within the laws, and he missed the timing. I think over the Christmas period, something went wrong with in terms of management principles. But you can't go back to the court after the court has given you a month and say, okay, I missed that date. Here I am. It doesn't work like that in South African law. You can get contempt of court charges if you attempt that kind of thing. So it's a matter of now the business rescue practitioners kicking this animal into gear.
And do you think, in your view, it's worth a save?
They've got 3 planes left. And to give you an idea just how small they are now, for example, Airlink is now the biggest international airline operating in South Africa, and it's got something like 60 planes. So, an operator with 3 planes is tiny. That's in the level of lift. But as a low-cost airline, there's, of course, space to operate. We have a growing demand. If you look at the latest numbers for December, for example, worldwide, the December numbers globally on air traffic was up nearly 7% on 2019, before the pandemic. So the signs are all there that people want to travel by air. There are many competitors operating in Southern African space who've been ongoing through this whole demise of Mango since 2021, when they went into business rescue. So they've got a lot of catching up to do, but that doesn't mean that they can't catch up, or at least they can't get going. There is an opportunity here.
And talking about this catching up and looking at the time that has passed and what has been happening, the back and forth and since its grounding, let's look at this and the impact that this then has on, low-cost airlines, because that is also, as you say, an option that a lot more people are starting to look at. But if that's not available, then there is the likelihood of the impact and the competition there is likely to be huge as well.
Yes, look at surge pricing. Over the busy period in December, the cost of flying to Cape Town return, which is one of our golden, part of the golden triangle, we call it Durban, Cape Town, Johannesburg. That's our air traffic. That's where basically everything goes. The costs were going 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 rand return. And even now, I was looking online, looking at a lift premium price of tickets. One of the competitors, that's 1,300 for premium, which is 2 bags, or 1 bag and 1 musical instrument, down to Cape Town one way. So that's 2,600, a premium flight. So, if you book on quiet times of the week and quiet times of the year, you can bring those prices right down as a commuter or as a passenger to around 1,300 to around 2,000, 2,300 return to Cape Town if you book early enough, perhaps lower if you get lucky. So it's all volume in those routes. Cape Town Johannesburg route used to be the 11th busiest in the world for domestic airlines anyway. It's slipped down the ranking slightly, but it's still busy, as you know. So no, there's opportunities if and when Mango gets going again. The big player here is Macquarie, which is owed billions of rand. It's a air leasing company. It's actually partly Australian, funny enough, but it's operating out of Ireland. they are very much gung-ho about starting this business again because they want to put what they call wet leased planes. In other words, they want to put planes with crew, not necessarily South Africans, planes with crew back on these routes. And that's the big question. Does Mango still own the routes? Because there's a little bit of back and forth about that.
And I was going to ask about that. Does it or does it not?
Well, I haven't got a straight answer. According to Mango, it does. But the SACAA, in terms of the laws and regulations here, it's been very clear that a domestic airline has to operate in the last 12 months on a route or they lose the route. But I think politically it will be a bad move for the authority not to at least allow the operator to retain some of these routes. So we're waiting for a final decision. We've had SAA come back and SACAA, the authority, has indicated that Mango will return, but there's going to be opposition from the competitors.
Sure. And, you know, we talk about that return and the decision that we're still awaiting, given the fact that the minister doesn't seem ready to give this go ahead and what we've seen, you know, as part of his legal argument. There are some suggestions, you know, from some that whatever is left of the airline, its potential buyer and the business rescue practitioner are being held to ransom. Would you agree with that?
You know, I'd say that it's unfair to expect an operator now in this environment where everyone else has barged past you and is now growing their businesses massively. Southern African airlines are growing and making profits. So that's the good news. And the bad news for Mango is an element inside the cabinet is stopping a deal from taking place. So it's not really for me to judge, other than to say, as a reasonable person observing this, if I was involved with Macquarie and with Mr. Sono and the others in the business rescue process, I just look at the law and say, the minister missed his opportunity, time's up.
And do you think we run the risk of the potential buyer possibly being, you know, too tired and fatigued from all of this and rather looking elsewhere instead of continuing with this?
Good question. I've had a look at the creditors are Lufthansa, Lanseria itself. Lanseria is owed money. ATNS, which is our state-owned entity, Air Traffic Navigation Service, it runs all of the communication between airliners over South African airspace. It runs that. It's owed money. This is a state-owned entity. Lufthansa Technik in Germany. SAA Technical, it's owned from a partner. Macquarie, you've got a long list of people there, and they've said very specifically they want their money back. And they are owed 2.8 billion rand. They want that back. How are they going to get it back? The government will not subsidize it. They want to refloat this airline in a busy aviation environment. It's go, go, go time.
And it really is go time, and one hopes that a decision is made soon. But let's see then what happens, Desmond. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. That is Aviation Analyst Desmond Latham.